everyone, my name is Judy Sema, and I'm going to tell you some stories. I like to start off my stories with my special candle that goes like this. Gather around, gather around, gather around my fire. There are worlds to explore, stories to tell. If you have the desire, join in, join in, join in, join in, round my candlelight. All it takes is imagination to keep the fire burning bright. All it takes is imagination to keep the fire burning bright. That's my invitation for you to enjoy some stories today. And I'd like to thank and tell you who is funding this program. The program is funded in part by the Michigan Humanities Council and the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. And I'd also like to thank the Bellevue Library for having me today. This first story comes from Michigan. Now, if you would put your right hand in front of your face, with your fingers pointing up and your thumb pointing off to the side, and if you take your left hand and put it above your right hand, you'll have the map of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula. Now, do you know what bird is the bird of Michigan? If you said robins, you're right. This is a story about how robins came to Michigan. Now, this story comes from the island of Haiti. Now, if you have your map of Michigan with you, down there by your belly button would be the state of Florida, and way down by your knee would be the island of Haiti in the Caribbean Sea. Now, a long time ago, there were lots and lots of robins that lived in Haiti. There were so many robins, they hardly could find a tree to put their nest in because there were so many robins. They had trouble finding worms because there were so many robins eating those worms. And one day they decided they needed to go to a new place. It's a new place to have their nests and eat their worms. And so they had a big meeting in the middle of the island, and they argued about where they should go. One robin suggested they go to the North Pole, but it's very cold there. And another robin suggested the South Pole, but it's cold there too. Somebody suggested the desert, that's too hot. Well, they argued and debated and they wondered what to do. And then finally one little robin spoke up and said, well, I've heard of a place called Michigan. It's about 3 or 4 days journey, but it's surrounded on 3 sides by water. And there's lots of trees to build our nests and lots of worms to eat. Well, the robins thought that was a good idea. So they made plans to start off from Michigan about 3 days' time. Now, during that time, there was a turtle that was kind of crawling into the space where the robins were. He heard about the trip to Michigan, and he thought, that sounds like a really wonderful place. I'd like to go to Michigan too. And so he went up to the head robin and said, can you take me to Michigan? I'd like to go there too. It sounds so wonderful. And the robin said, you don't have wings. How are you going to get there? And the turtle said, well, I don't know, but I sure would like to go. And the robin thought and said, tell you what, if you can find a stick that's about this long and about this wide around, I think I can take you to Michigan. But you might find that stick and bring it here in 3 days' time because we're going to be leaving at that time. Well, the turtle thanked the robin and started crawling as fast as he could out of the jungle into the rest of the jungle to ask his friends to help him to find the right kind of stick. They looked everywhere, and eventually they finally found a stick that was this long, this wide around, and Turtle put the stick in his mouth and started to crawl as fast as he could back to where the robins were getting ready to leave. It was just in the nick of time. When Turtle got to the head robin, he looked at the stick and said, the stick looks pretty good. It's the right length. It's just the right amount of roundness that I can cling onto with my beak. And the robin put the stick in his beak, and he said to the turtle, "Now you hold on to the other end. Do not let go. Keep your eyes closed. Do not look down. And whatever you do, don't open your mouth." Well, Turtle put that stick in his beak and closed his eyes, and the robin started to flap his wings faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And pretty soon the stick went up and up and up and up, and they started to fly up to Michigan. They flew to the edge of the island, and all of Turtle's friends had gathered at the edge of the island to say, "Goodbye, Turtle. Have a nice life. Don't forget to write. Have a good time. We'll miss you." And Turtle thought about all of his wonderful friends down there saying goodbye, and then without thinking, he opened his eyes and looked down. And then he opened his mouth and said, "Bye!" Splash! He fell into the ocean. The robins continued on to Michigan. And that's why there's so many robins in Michigan nowadays. And they made the robin their state bird. And there's still lots and lots of turtles in Haiti. And that's the end of that story. Now this next story also comes from the Caribbean Sea, the Caribbean Ocean. And near Haiti, just below Haiti, is the island of Puerto Rico. And can you guess what they speak in Puerto Rico? If you said Spanish, you're right. And do you know what the word for grandmother is in Spanish? If you said abuela, you were right too. Now this is a story about an abuela and her little boy, her El Nino, her little grandson. And her grandson loved to sleep at abuela's house because she had a big old-fashioned house. It had a pointed roof called a gable, and it had high ceilings and a bathtub with claws instead of flat on the ground. But the best thing about abuela's house was the old-fashioned bed. It was high up off the ground. You had to step up 2 steps to get in it. And when you snuggled into it, the covers just folded around you like a cloud. El Nino loved to spend the night at his abuela's house. And one day she invited him over, and when El Nino came to the house, abuela fed him his favorite foods, even chocolate ice cream for dessert. And when it was ready for bed, he climbed up the stairs, and he brushed his teeth, he washed his face, he washed behind his ears, he combed his hair, put on his pajamas, and then El Nino went to the bedroom and climbed up those 2 steps and snuggled into that bed. And abuela said, "Buenas noches, El Nino." And El Nino said, "Buenas noches, abuela," which means good night. And then he snuggled into the bed and turned over. But as soon as he turned over, the bed made a sound. It went like this, creak! El Nino woke up and cried, "Abuela, abuela." Abuela came running back into the room, and she turned on the light and she said, "Don't cry, El Nino." And she sang a little song for him. "It's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed." Well, abuela said, "You know, El Nino, I need you to get some sleep. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow. I know, maybe you'll feel a little bit more comfortable if I put a kitty in bed with you." Oh, El Nino liked that a lot. And so abuela put a kitty in bed with El Nino. And she said, "Buenas noches, El Nino. Buenas noches, kitty." And El Nino said, "Buenas noches, abuela." And the kitty said, "Meow." And abuela turned off the light. She closed the door. And as soon as El Nino and the kitty snuggled into the bed went creak. And El Nino woke up and cried, "Abuela, abuela." And the kitty went meow. Abuela came running back in the room and she said, "Don't meow, kitty. Don't cry, abuela." And she sang that song. Can you sing it with me? It's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed. Well, said Abuela, maybe you're more of a dog person. Would you like it if I put a dog in bed with you? Oh, El Nino would like that very much. And so Abuela put a dog in bed with El Nino. And then she said, Buenas noches, El Nino. Buenas noches, cat. Buenas noches, dog. And El Nino said, Buenas noches, Abuela. The kitty went, meow. And the dog went, woof, 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 woof. Abuela turned off the light. She closed the door. And as soon as El Nino and the animals snuggled into the bed went, creak. And the dog woke up and said, woof, 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 woof. The kitty went, meow, meow, meow. And El Nino cried, Abuela, Abuela, Abuela. Abuela came running back in the room and she said, don't bark, dog, don't meow, kitty, don't cry. El Nino, it's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed. Said Abuela, that didn't work too well. Let me see. Let me put a chicken in bed with you. So Abuela went to the barn and brought out a chicken and put it in the bed with El Nino and the animals. And she said, Buenas noches. Buenas noches, El Nino. Buenas noches, Abuela. Buenas noches, kitty. Meow. Buenas noches, dog. Woof, 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 woof. Buenas noches, chicken. Bark, 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 bark. And Abuela turned off the light. She closed the door. And as soon as El Nino and the animal snuggled into the bed and turned over, the bed went, creak. And the chicken woke up and went, walk, 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 walk. And the dog went, woof, 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 woof. And the kitty went, meow, 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 meow. And El Nino cried, Abuela, Abuela, Abuela. Abuela came running back into the room and said, don't cluck, chicken. Don't bark, dog. Don't meow, kitty. Don't cry, El Nino. It's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed. Well, that didn't work too well. How about a duck? Oh, a duck would be good. So Abuela put a duck in bed with El Nino. And she said, Buenas noches, El Nino. Buenas noches, Abuela. Buenas noches, kitty. Meow, said kitty. Buenas noches, dog. Woof, 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 said the dog. Buck, 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 said the chicken. Whack, 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 said the duck. Abuela turned off the light. She closed the door. And as soon as El Nino snuggled into the bed with all the animals and turned over, the bed went, creak. And El Nino woke up and cried, Abuela, Abuela, Abuela. And the kitty went, meow, meow, meow. And the dog went, woof, 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 woof. The chicken went, buck, 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 buck. And the duck, whack, 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 whack. Abuela came running back in the room and said, don't quack, quack, duck. Don't cluck, chicken. Don't bark, dog. Don't meow, kitty. Don't cry, El Nino. It's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed. How about a pig? Should I put a pig in bed with you? And El Nino said, oh, I like pigs. Yes, yes, that would be very good. That should be just fine. So Abuela put a pig in bed with El Nino and the animals. And Abuela said, Buenas noches, El Nino. Buenas noches, Abuela. Buenas noches, kitty. Buenas noches, dog. Buenas noches, chicken. Buenas noches, duck. Buenas noches, pig. And the duck went, and Abuela turned off the light and closed the door. And as soon as El Nino and the animals snuggled into the bed went creak. And El Nino woke up and said, Abuela, Abuela. And the dog went woof, 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 woof. And the kitty went meow, 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 meow. Chicken went buck, 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 buck. The duck went quack, 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 quack. And the pig went Abuela came back into the room and said, it's just an old-fashioned bed. And she sang the song. It's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed. You know what, El Nino? We're going to have to take some drastic measures. You've got to get to sleep. I'm going to put an elephant in bed with you. So she took the elephant from the garage where it happened to be living, and she put it in bed with El Nino and all the animals. And she said, Buenas noches, El Nino. Buenas noches, Abuela. Buenas noches, kitty, meow, 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 meow. Buenas noches, dog, woof, 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 woof. Buenas noches, chicken, buck, 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 buck. Buenas noches, duck, quack, 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 quack. Buenas noches, pig. Buenas noches, elephant. And Abuela turned off the light. She closed the door, and as soon as El Nino and the animals snuggled into the bed and turned over, the bed went creak. And what do you think happened? If you thought the bed broke, you're right. You put an elephant in bed with you, the bed broke. And El Nino woke up and he cried, Abuela, Abuela. The dog went woof, 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 and the cat went meow, meow, meow. The chicken went buck, buck, buck. The duck went quack, 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 quack. The pig went and the elephant went and Abuela came running back in the room. She said, don't trumpet, elephant. Don't snort, pig. Don't quack, duck. Don't cluck, chicken. Don't meow, kitty. Don't bark, dog. Don't cry, El Nino. It's just an old-fashioned bed, just an old-fashioned bed. Nothing more, nothing less than an old-fashioned bed. Well, the next day, Abuela took El Nino to a store where they bought a brand new modern bed. And when she put El Nino to bed with all the animals, and they snuggled into the bed, and they turned over, nothing happened. It was a brand new bed. It didn't squeak. So after that, they all fell asleep, and they snored, and they all lived happily ever after. I have a book that has called The Squeaky Door, which has a similar story to the old-fashioned bed in it. It's by Margaret Reed MacDonald. You might find this in your library. Now, this next story that I'm going to tell you is one I usually tell at Halloween. Now, if you are sitting with a grown-up and you think they might get afraid of this story, I want you to hold their hands really tight, although it's really not a scary story. This is a story that comes from Tennessee. And back a long time ago, there was an old man who lived somewhere at the edge of the woods in Tennessee. He lived there in a one-room cabin. That one room was his bedroom, his kitchen, his living room, his study, his den, his office, everything except his bathroom. The bathroom was in a little wooden hut behind the big house. He lived there with his 3 dogs, Uno, Ino, and Come-to-Co Calico. They lived under the porch. Now, one day, the old man was hungry and decided he wanted to get something to eat, and he went into his cupboard, and he looked, and all he could find was a can of beans. Beans, he said, beans. I had beans yesterday. I had beans the day before. I'm sick and tired of beans. And he called to his dogs and said, Uno, Ino, Come-to-Co Calico. We're going to go out hunting for something else to eat. And the dogs scrambled out from under the porch, and they went deep into the woods. The old man took his shotgun, and he finally found one skinny old rabbit. And the wind began to pick up. And the old man thought, well, we better be going home, even though all I got was a rabbit. And the wind picked up, and he got in the house just as the wind started to howl a little bit more. The old man skinned the rabbit and put it in a pot with a can of beans and cooked it up. And when he was done, he ate the rabbit and gave the bones to the dogs. And then he was kind of tired, so he sat down in his favorite rocking chair, rocked back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And as he was rocking, he could hear some scratching noise coming underneath the floorboards. And when he looked down, there was a hole, and in that hole, he saw a creature. It had red, fiery eyes, pointed ears, long, sharp teeth, and a long, scary, hairy tail. The old man took a hatchet and went, and chopped off that long, hairy, scary tail. Well, he was still hungry, so he took off the hair and put the tail into the pot and stirred it up and cooked it and ate that too. Well, he was pretty tired by that time and decided he would go to bed. And he crawled into bed and he turned off the lights first. Then he crawled into bed and pulled the covers up to his chin, closed his eyes, and started to snore. But he could hear something scratching at his door. He heard some noise. The wind was picking up, and he could hear a voice that seemed to say, "Taily-po, Taily-po, give me back my Taily-po." Well, the old man was so afraid, didn't know what to do. He jumped out of bed and he opened up the doors and said to the dogs, "Uno, Ino, go get that thing." And he closed and locked the door very tight, and then he got back to bed again. And a little while later, he could hear some scratching noise. It seemed to be coming from the walls and his door. And then they heard that voice again, "Taily-po, Taily-po, all I want is my Taily-po." Well, the old man jumped out of bed again and he called to his dogs, "Uno, Ino, come to Calico, go get that thing." And they chased that thing deep into the forest. He fell asleep again, but again he could hear that noise right at his cabin door. "Taily-po, Taily-po, you know and I know that all I want is my Taily-po." The old man yelled for his dogs, "Uno, Ino, come to Calico, go get that thing." The dogs chased that thing deep into the forest. And pretty soon it was quiet, and the old man went back to sleep. A little while later, he woke up, and he could hear some scratching noise, but it was inside the house. It was right by his kitchen. Something was scratching at the cupboards, at the stove. Something was scratching and scratching and scratching. It got closer and closer to the old man's bed, and the old man looked over the bed, and he could see 2 red, fiery eyes, long, sharp teeth. And the creature said, "Taily-po, Taily-po, give me back my Taily-po." "I haven't got your Taily-po," said the old man. I don't have it. "Uno, Ino, come to Calico, go get that thing." But the thing, the monster, had scared the dogs and lost them somewhere deep in the woods. "Taily-po, Taily-po, give me back my Taily-po. I don't have your Taily-po." And the creature started to scratch and scratch and scratch. It scratched up the bed. It scratched up the cupboards. It scratched up the old man and his pillows. It scratched down the walls until nothing was left of that cabin in the woods except for the fireplace and the chimney. And they say, if you're ever out in the woods at night in Tennessee, and there's a big full moon outside, if you listen carefully to the wind, you will hear a voice saying, "Taily-po, Taily-po, now I've got my Taily-po." And that story comes from another book called Taily-po by Jan Wall, and you might find this in your library as well. This next story comes from Africa. Now, in Africa, they have a god called Nyami. And Nyami, the sky god, created the birds that fly overhead, the fish that swim in the sea, and the animals that crawl upon the earth. To the birds, he gave feathers and wings of every color of the rainbow. To the fish, he gave fins and scale of every color that sparkled like diamonds. And to the animals, he gave 4 powerful legs and handsome, useful tails. All except for Frog. He didn't give Frog any tail. Frog didn't care too much, but one by one, the animals would come up to his house and show off their tails. The first to come by was the flamingo, and she said, "The frog, look at my tail. Isn't it beautiful? It's a lovely shade of coral. Matches my feathers, matches me perfectly. Too bad Nyami did not give you a tail as pretty as mine. And Frog said, I don't care. The next to come by was Leopard. And he stopped at Frog's house and said, Frog, look at my tail. It's handsome and powerful, has spots and matches the rest of me. Too bad Nyami did not give you a tail as powerful as mine. And Frog just said, I don't care. The next to come by was Peacock and said, look at my tail, Frog. It spreads out like a fan. It has eyes that look at you from every direction. Too bad Nyami did not give you a tail as magnificent as mine. Frog just said, I don't care. Even the bunny hopped by and said, Frog, look at my tail. It's cute and fluffy, just like the rest of me. Too bad you don't have a tail as cute as mine. And then Nyami and Frog said, I don't care. Monkey came by and held on to a branch and said, Frog, look at my tail. I can use it to swing from branch to branch to branch. Too bad Nyami did not give you a tail as useful as mine. And Frog said, I don't care. Even the lowly chameleon came by and said, Frog, look at my tail. If it breaks off, I grow a new one, and it changes colors to match my surrounding. Too bad Nyami did not give you a tail as practical as mine. Frog said, I don't care, but he did. And one day he decided he would go up to the sky god and ask him to give him a tail. So he hopped out of his bed and out of his house, and he hopped and he hopped and he hopped and he hopped all the way up to the sky. And he came to the place where Nyami lived. And Nyami looked down, and Frog looked up. Nyami looked down. Frog looked up. Nyami looked down and said, Frog, why have you come here? I've come to get a tail. You've given all the other animals tails. I want a tail too. Nyami said, very well, I will give you a tail, but you must do something for me as well. You must take care of my well and share the water with all the other animals. For water is very important, and animals will die if they don't have water. Will you take care of my well, Frog? And Frog said, yeah, sure. Just give me a tail. Nyami said, very well, Frog. Go home, go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, you will have your tail. But do not forget your promise to me. Animals need water. You must share my water with all the thirsty animals. Yeah, said Frog, and he jumped down, all the way back down to earth. He hopped into his house, and he hopped into bed, and he fell asleep, and when he got up the next morning, he yawned and stretched, and oh, there was a tail, a beautiful green tail that matched the rest of him. It was long and thin and slimy. It was beautiful, but he couldn't see it all at once. And then he remembered Nyami's well. And so he hopped out of his house, hopped, and he hopped down the road, hop. He hopped all the way to the well, hop, and then he hopped on top of the well. And he could see his reflection in the water, and that tail was beautiful. It was so wonderful that Frog forgot all about his promise to Nyami. And that summer in Africa, there was a drought. The rains forgot to fall, and the land began to dry up. The watering holes, the lakes, the rivers, the streams all began to dry up, and there was no water for the animals. And so one by one, they came to get a drink from Nyami's well. The first to come by was Flamingo and said, Frog, can you give me a drink of water, please? My beautiful tail is fading. It doesn't match the rest of me anymore. Please, can I have a sip of water? Frog didn't even look up. He just went, nope, there's no water here. Nope, there's no water here. Leopard came by and said, Frog, give me a drink from your well. My tail is losing its spots. Please give me a drink from your well. And Frog just said, nope, there's no water here. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Peacock came by and said, Frog, please give me some water. My beautiful tail, I can hardly open it up and all the eyes are closing. Please give me a drink from your well. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Nope, 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 there's no water here. The next to come by was the bunny, and she said, my tail's lost its fluff. Please could you give me a little drink from your well? And Frog just said, nope, 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 there's no water here. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Even the monkey could not hold on to the branches anymore. Please, Frog, I can't hold on to the branches. I just need a little drink of water. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Even the chameleon came by and said, Frog, I just need a tiny sip. I cannot go another tail, and I can't change colors. Please, can I have just a tiny sip? And Frog said, nope, 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 there's no water here. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Well, Nyami looked down from his throne high up in the sky, and he saw that the animals were suffering from the lack of water, and they were all thirsty, and he wondered if Frog had kept his promise. He decided to take a look and go down to earth and see what Frog was doing. So he flew down to earth and he walked up slowly to the well. And he said, Frog, may I have a drink from your well? And Frog just said, nope, 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 there's no water here. Nope, 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 there's no water here. Frog, said Nyami. Frog, look at me. And Frog went, uh-oh. Frog, you have not shared my water with the animals. You have been selfish. And so, to teach you a lesson, I'm going to take away your tail. And so you do not forget so easily from now on. When baby frogs are born, they have long, luxurious tails. But as they become adults, they will disappear, and frogs will no longer have tails. And that is the way it is now, from that day to this. Frogs are born, tadpoles have long, shiny, black tails, but they begin to shrink and shrink as they become adults. And so frogs have no tail at all. And that taught Frog a lesson to help people and to be generous to other animals. And that's the end of that story. Now, I always like to finish my programs with my favorite song. And you can help me with it. If you stand up, you're all going to know the words. I'm going to show you the motions. Just put your hands on top of your head like this. There you go. Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut, Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Make an M. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Make a crown. Burger King, Burger King. This one's hard. Put one hand over one eye, one hand behind your back, stand on one foot. Long John Silver and a Burger King, Burger King, Burger King. Long John Silver and a Burger King. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Milk a cow. Dairy Queen, Dairy Queen. Ring a bell. Taco Bell and a Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen, Dairy Queen. Taco Bell and a Dairy Queen. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. McDonald's, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Make a fish. Seafood bay, seafood bay. Dunkin' Donuts and a seafood bay. Seafood bay, seafood bay. Dunkin' Donuts and a seafood bay. McDonald's, McDonald's. Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. McDonald's, McDonald's. Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Domino's, Domino's. Red Lobster and a Domino's. Domino's, Domino's. Red Lobster and a Domino's. McDonald's, McDonald's. Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. McDonald's, McDonald's. Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut. Give yourselves a hand and thank you for listening, and have a good summer, everyone. Bye-bye.